Thank you for having us. You may realize that our clan takes up a whole pew of mischief, and I want to say it's just the kids, but we're in the mix of it as well. But we're just excited to be here and share with you a little bit about what God's doing in our family. I realized at a young age, as God was calling me into ministry, that God was calling me to do unique ministry. And from an early age, it was church planting. It was church revitalization and church planting. And then as I got to marry my wife, Jamie, some of you may know her father. And so he probably are going to be shocked that I actually said his name here. But some of you may know Jeremiah Peters. And so he was here a while back. And but he is just excited. And so that's how we've connected here as well. But we are planting a church in Cumberland, Rhode Island. And so we actually just got done planting a church in Altoona, Pennsylvania 4 years ago. During COVID, we helped another gentleman plant and launch, and then I've passed that off just this last month. And God is doing some crazy things and just aligning His will only the way that He can do. And so right now we don't even have a church name yet, but we're going to share a little bit. We're calling it right now Reach Rhode Island. And I'll give you a little flyer later on, but it is all about connecting with the people there. The one thing that we've realized, and as I've done a lot of study, is that the sad thing is about America is that America is becoming so much more or less de-churched, unchurched, that other countries are actually sending missionaries to the U.S. to be able to then share the gospel. And I think it's wonderful, just as you're trying to, this afternoon, reach your neighborhood, reach the people in your neighborhood, to just love on them and let them know that Jesus loves you. And we're going to an area coming up in Cumberland, Cumberland, that's where we're headed later. Cumberland, Rhode Island, that is very de-churched and unchurched. In the area, within about 15 minutes of the church that's there is only 5, maybe 6 Bible-preaching, Bible-loving church that shares the gospel of Jesus. The state of Rhode Island is the most Catholic state in the whole U.S. And so there's only about 14% evangelical, and then another 14% what they would call mainline Protestant. And then there's 42% Catholic, and then the rest are either non-believing or other religions as well. And so this area that we're moving to, Boston is in the top 10% of the most de-churched and unchurched areas. And that rolls into this area as well. And so as we look to go, it is one where even here in Pittsburgh, because we're not far from you right now, it is one where the harvest is plentiful. There's people just waiting for you to knock on their doors or meet them at work to just share, hey, Jesus loves you. How can I pray for you? How can I speak life into you? They're just waiting for it. And the workers are few. Are we willing to do what God's calling us to do to reach the lost, the unchurched, the de-churched? And I'm not saying you have to go and drag them in. There's people who are just waiting. A couple examples of that is when we're blessed when Jamie and I and another family planted Renew Church in Altoona. We planted that, and then come to find out during COVID, there was a struggling church that then actually just gave us a church building for free and just said, here you go. Here's a free building. Do your ministry. You're impacting the community. And we went and knocked on the doors of the neighbors and said, hey, we just want to let you know we're moving. We're kind of moving in and starting a new work here. And they've plugged in, and they're part of the security team. They're like, we've been here for 15 years, and nobody's invited us to church. And they live right next to the parking lot. And it's like all they were doing was waiting for the invite. And so as we continue to minister and to reach people, some people are just waiting for that invite to say, hey, come with me. And people are looking to connect with people. People are looking to connect with God and just have a relationship with Jesus, but they don't know where to go. They don't know if they will be received in that. And so as we continue to connect in Rhode Island and want to reach Rhode Island, Cumberland, Rhode Island, you guys have the same mission here, is to reach your neighbors. reach those that you're doing work with. It is all a mission field. It is all an area to sit there and say, how can I draw people to your son Jesus in this time? And so as we continue to connect into this time, it is one that makes a difference. It changes your perspective. It changes the way you look at church. And so one thing, I shared a bunch yesterday, but one thing I do want to share as we look to make the move into Cumberland, Rhode Island, it changes when you church plant, it changes the way you see mission. It's the way, it changes even the way you see church. And so if you picture it like this, that you have this big square box that you spend most of your life in. You spend a lot of time going to church. You spend time on Wednesdays going to church, and Fridays you hang out with the same friends, and you spend all this time in church. And then you have this little funnel that comes into church that allows people to be drawn into him. And so it's one where you sit there and you're like, all right, God, I love my church family. And then there's this little funnel that comes in from the community into this time. But if you change that and you realize that church planting is the exact opposite, you have this big square box that is you're in the community. You're doing things in the community. You're doing things with other people that don't know him. You're building relationships and opportunities with people who don't know him. And so then that big area of community that you're in, rubbing elbows with people who are far from him. And then all of a sudden you have an opportunity to share, like they'll share if they're struggling. They'll share if they're hurting. They'll share, oh, I'm struggling to be a parent. I'm struggling with addiction. I'm struggling with fill in the blank. You can then say, you know, what helped me through that is Jesus. What helped me through that is a community of believers that want to hold me accountable. And so as we continue that, instead of having the majority of life happen within the church box, it happens in the community box that then funnels them into the church life. But we don't stop living into the community and meeting new people into that time, because a lot of times what happens is we end up living life in church, and all of our friends are in church, and all the people we encounter is in church, and so we don't even know anybody who doesn't know Jesus. And so how do we encounter that? How do we serve them? How do we have an opportunity to just say, all right, let's go down and meet those who are hurting, those who maybe are homeless, those who are hungry, those who are just craving communication and community. Because there's a lot of people who are running onto Facebook, running onto the internet, running onto different, just because all they want is a friend. And what's the best friend we can have is Jesus, because he loves us and cares for us in that time. And so as we share about the Cumberland Church, it is one that we're excited. And I want to just encourage you guys to pray big prayers. Pray prayers that can sit there and say, God, what do you want to do with me? And I'm willing to step out, but pray big prayers. Because one thing is I've always known I was called to plant churches. I've always known that from a kid, and then, or not from a kid, but a young adult. And I even waited to get married until I was 30 because I was looking for a wife who was as crazy as I was. But it's one where it was like, all right, and then we got married, and we drive around, and we're just like, that would make a good church plant. That would be a perfect location for a church to come in. And we sat there, and we were praying 12 years ago, man, it would be really cool. We weren't at a point then. It'd be really cool to plant a church in the New England states because they need churches. And God aligned different opportunities for me to revitalize different churches and lead different churches. And then God opened up this idea in Cumberland, because the fact of the matter is things are a little bit more expensive out there. For a house that you could get here for maybe $150,000, $200,000 is $600,000 out there. It is, and so even in our prayers, we're just praying, God, where do you want to send us? We're willing to go. And God then aligned this opportunity where a church closed down, and there's seasons in life. There's seasons in churches where they succeed and grow and then change hands. And so this church closed down a year ago. And then God just allowed the opportunity for Jamie and I to go out there and to see it and to relaunch and to create a church plant. But it has a building, has a dated building. It also has a parsonage, so it has a place for us to live. But there's no people. And so, but it's one of those, that's the only way we would have ever been able to go and minister to the New England area for Jesus, is because of that opportunity. And the fact of the matter is if we pray prayers like that, God, how we have this passion for this area, God will provide. Maybe it's downtown Pittsburgh. Maybe it's homeless people. Maybe it's those who are far from you. But if you're praying prayers, God, use me, and this is what I'm passionate about, he may not give it to you right away, but he will start to put things in your path for you to be able to arrive there in that place. And so some ways that you can continue and partner with us and join us is praying for us. That's the number one thing that we actually need as prayer, is because when we end up out there, just think of all your friends. Think of all the people who support you in life, all the different things that happen as you're going through life. And then realize that you're like, oh, I'm going to leave all that and go alone and do a ministry work, a mission work to the Rhode Island, state of Rhode Island in Cumberland. And so we'll end up spending a lot of time in prayer, seeking out those who are going to be part of our launch team, because there isn't even a small group there. And so just for that encouragement, for the connection, to see where God's already working in people, who he's already preparing to be part of that team and to launch into that time. So first, pray for the communities in Rhode Island, that God readies their heart for the gospel. Pray for encouragement for our family and for the team to surround them here in Cumberland. It is one where prayer is huge. Prayer is what sets the seeds. If you think back of how you came to know Christ, you probably had a grandparent, a grandfather, grandmother, maybe a father, a mother who was praying for you to come to know Christ long before you ever came to Christ. And so it is one where prayer helps. Prayer changes things. The next thing is pray about joining the church for a work project or community outreach event. The event that you're doing out here on the yard, we love, and we're actually looking forward to do the very same exact thing, is how do we bless the community? But the thing is how do you do that? I look out and I see I didn't get the color memo. My wife got the color memo. She blends right in, but I didn't get it. But the fact is you see all these people who's here to work to minister to the community. Just think if you show up and it's like all it is myself, my wife, and our kids. And so we would love to do it, but right now we don't even have the manpower to do it. And so be thinking of a way, if you're like, oh, you know what, I want to help bless. And we might not be here right away, but it is one, if you could be praying, if you're like, hey, we could throw people in a van and come out and do a work bee, or do a community outreach project or a serving project. But how do you come and join us in this area to reach Rhode Island? The next thing is to pray to consider supporting our family and the church plant financially. It is one where there is some funds set aside from when they closed, but it is something that's going to take time to build relationships, build trust, do work on the church building and get it to a place to where we're able to actually have services there as well. And so we're just asking if you're able to, pray to help support us, not just for us, but also for the building and the projects and the ministry. It is one that I am a starter. I'm a worker. I actually love to work. Some people don't understand that, but I actually enjoy working, and I've done construction all my life. I've started probably 4 different businesses as I moved to do ministry where God's called me in that time. And so when we get out there, I'm going to end up starting another business out there to help provide for our family, but that takes away time and energy from the church. And so our hope is to keep that as part-time as we can, so we can pour into the community and that as well. But we are excited for what God is doing in this time, in this season of just stepping out in faith. A lot of times we get excited, and where we talk about Peter who steps out in the boat, and he's the only one who's willing to step out. And so I just pray that maybe it's little steps out for you to reach this area for Jesus. Maybe it's just one person knocking on a door. Maybe it's just, I'm going to be praying at the grocery store to see who I can bless and serve. How can I just say, how can I help somebody who can't, and then just be like, God bless you. I'm just looking for ways to serve people, looking for ways to just interact with other people to then just say, Jesus loves you. Have a good day. How can I pray for you in that time? So I just pray that you will join in with us as we look to reach Rhode Island. This morning I do have a little postcard here that says how you can pray for me on the back, as well as a QR code that you can scan that'll take us to our Facebook page, and we'll be doing weekly updates as well as other updates, and there will be soon ways that you can actually give financially or get part of our newsletter as well as we start. And so my girls were super excited to help hand out the postcards. And so we're going to hand them out to each one of you and just to be praying for us, our family, as much as our kids aren't called to it. They're part of the package. And so there's days that they're excited to go, and there's days that they're like, we're even stepping away from our friends. And so we're excited for them and be praying for them as well as they make new friends and new opportunities as well. And so I just thank you for allowing us to come and just share with your church, share with the mission board yesterday, because God's doing work here in Pittsburgh, and the same God is doing work in Rhode Island, and the same God is doing work in Israel and across the globe, because he is one mighty God that is powerful and wants to reach people with his message, with the love of Jesus. And so thank you for allowing me to come and share this morning.